Okay, so what tools do you really need to in order to automate the manual QA task case scenarios or test scenarios? First of all, let's talk about why do you need that. So why do you need to even think about automation? Why the companies may really want doing that? So the companies are always looking forward to save some money. So first of all, they hire QAs in order to save money, right? Because if they're gonna release their product and the product gonna have this new version of the product gonna have some bug, some defect. For some companies, it couldn't be a problem, especially if the defect is not that important. However, like for Amazon again, if the navigation start working, so the customers won't be able to search for the product, or the payment system stop working, it means their customers, they're actually businesses that they have that are working together with Amazon gonna lose a lot of money, meaning that Amazon gonna lose a lot of money. So that's a really huge problem. Also for like medical companies, that could be a really big problem. Like people relying on the software for medicine may have some issue that could be a really big impact, and that's why they invest in money in software testing, especially huge big companies. The same for the automation, they trying to save money, and like I told you in the first lesson, right, of this mini course, companies, they have their product, and the product itself has different ways to, like a browser, website, the mobile app, so different kind of client, we call it clients, different clients. So like a browser, different browsers, different screens, a lot of things to support, like I told you before in the first lesson, like operating system, screen resolutions, etc, etc. So when you're gonna start doing the testing, even with the 600 scenarios, imagine that each scenario needs to run through the different browsers, through different operating system, etc, etc. It's a huge piece of work. Instead of 600 test case scenarios that you're gonna just run one by one, you're gonna need to run just one first scenario on a different browsers, on a different operating systems, different devices. It's gonna take a lot of time. So if they don't have automation, they're not gonna cover that. They usually wouldn't do that. They would just select one simple device, like maybe MacBook, and will just run the whole testing on that MacBook. Say they're gonna miss different devices. There could be some problems, and that's all the risks for the company. So that's why they considering actually automation nowadays. And let's talk more about that. What do you need actually in order to do the automated testing? So first of all, obviously you need a laptop. A laptop with operating system like MacBook, or like a Mac or Windows, doesn't matter. Hopefully it's not that old. It's just working. That's fine. So that's the first thing. The second thing, you need some kind of tool that would allow you to do the automation. So what is that automation? So imagine the same scenario from the first lesson, sign-in scenario, where you have a form where you type a login password for existing user, you click sign in, and then you see the dashboard. So this scenario manually, it's easy to run, right? To run the steps and check if the dashboard present or not. So, and again, you're gonna need to do that on different browsers, different mobile operating systems, desktop operating system, blah blah blah. So with automation, you can create just one scenario, and you can re-execute that scenario on different browsers or operating system, which saves a lot of time, meaning a lot of money. So that's what is automation. So how would that look? You would have just a simple button. You click on that button, your browser gonna pop up, and then the form gonna be filled up, login, password, click submit, check if the dashboard present, or like maybe a message on that dashboard is present. That's it. And then you're gonna have a report. And if you have 600 scenarios, automated scenarios for that, by the end of the execution, which may take which gonna take a lot faster than manually, right? Because manually you're gonna type everything, you're gonna take a look, you're gonna report this and that. With automation, everything happens automatically. Ideally, if that happens over the night, so in the morning you open your laptop, you see your email with the report. 600 scenarios were automated, executed over the night. 595 scenarios are green, the 5 other scenarios are red. So you're gonna go ahead and try to see what's going on with that 5 red scenarios, and then maybe create a bug report if there is a defect. So that's what how would that look like. So maybe on some computer over the night there are 6 scenarios gonna be executed, maybe in parallel. It's possible to run in parallel through using the automation, or maybe by sequence, one by one. It's also not a problem, depending how much time you have. If you have million of scenarios, obviously you want to do that in parallel so you can save the resources and time for the company. Okay, so one of the tool that would allow you to automate the scenarios in browser is called Selenium IDE. So Selenium IDE, it's a very simple tool. It's a tool that would allow you to exactly what I told you, automate the steps. So you would be able to you would be able to click record, and then you go ahead and click buttons or type the form, type some data in the form, and then click sign in, and then just stop recording and then click play, and it's gonna do the same steps. Usually companies don't use this tool. It's just for testing, for demo purposes. Usually it's been used in companies, especially like Amazon wouldn't use that because it's really hard to support that kind of scenario. So however, it's a great chance to kind of have an idea. So you can add an extension in your Chrome browser, and you can do this record and play and see if the steps gonna be re-executed for you. Obviously the verification itself you're gonna need to do manually, but at least the steps for scenarios, that's something you can automate with that Selenium IDE. So if you're looking forward to do something more seriously, then you need to consider Selenium WebDriver. It's actually the library for programming language. Okay, programming language, yes. And in order to get started with that library, you first of all need a IDE for programming, something like IntelliJ IDEA or Eclipse. There are different IDE for programming. So developers or automation QAs, we don't write our programming in the not in a notes or somewhere in a terminal. No, we install the program. It's called IDE programs, integrated development environment, IDE, and then you write all coding, all programming in that IDE. Right, you keep that code in some specific place, and then you can click the button inside of the IDE, and the whole thing gonna be executed for you. The program gonna be executed, and you will see the result by the end of the day. Right, so that's what you're gonna need. Right, so the IDE for development. Then what other things, right, do you need? You need to know the programming language. Actually, one of the options is Java, another is JavaScript, another is C#, and it's Python, and there are quite many different programming languages nowadays. But what is my personal story? 12 years ago, I did try to learn programming language and get into the IT, and I spent 2 years, maybe even 3 years, maybe 13 years ago, doesn't matter. So a long time ago, I was learning and was trying to get into the IT, was trying to get into the programming, coding, and that was very hard times for me. So I was reading the book, a huge book for C++, and it was a lot for me to learn. So I realized that okay, it's too complex, too complicated. C++ is not the best thing for me. So and I gave up. I went to the interview after I read half of the book. I did try to do some practice, but it was a headache. It was too hard for me, and there was a subject called references, which is very tough. Was tough for me. So then maybe 3 years after, I went to the bootcamp and I started learning Java. And this programming language Java was way easier to learn. It's more like high level language similar to JavaScript, C Sharp, and Python. So this kind of languages, they're like a high level languages. They're like easier to learn for the beginners. And the best thing about these languages are that the companies, the tech companies, they are looking for their QAs to know at least one of these languages. So once you learn one language, you can basically get a job offer having just one of them. It's not important which one you're gonna have, Python or Java or C Sharp or JavaScript or in any other thing. So that's the thing. Programming language for automation is a must. Then once you get there, right? You have ID, you have programming language. Let's say Java programming language. Let's say IntelliJ IDEA ID, and now you want to have now you want to add more libraries, right? The library in order to do the automation, for example, right? In order to have that option, you want to have some kind of a tool that would allow you easily add in those libraries. One of the great tools for Java programming language calls Maven. So you can can create a project in Java and add a Maven there. So once you get done that, you're gonna be able to add libraries. There are different libraries like for report, in order to create a report after execution. After executing the task cases, you want the report. Okay, perfect. There is one great library called Allure Report. You're gonna need to add also runner libraries that would allow to execute the task cases. One of the great solution is a JUnit, another one is a TestNG, and one more additional thing to consider is a Jenkins. It's a continuous integration system that would allow you to run the testing by scheduler overnight or every second day, whenever you want to and prefer, and have those emails being sent to your mailbox maybe every night.